So recently, there's been some tweets circulating around Twitter made by a popular YouTuber in the basketball community that goes by the name of Legend of Winning, or Low for short. And in these tweets, he said that creators like Agent 00, Jesser, and Aiden Ross are the only names that should be associated with the greatest creators from the 2K community. Now, this in itself was already a crazy take because we have a lot of great content creators from the 2K community all over the internet. I mean, we have creators like iShowSpeed, Flight Reacts, Soluminati, Cash Nasty, and many more. But these tweets will begin to spread over Twitter like wildfire, and many fans on the internet believe that the title of the greatest 2K content creator belonged to the one and only Chris Smooth. And while Low would end up giving Chris Smooth some credit in his follow-up tweet, calling him, quote, the most impactful 2K creator, he would still stand firm on his belief that Chris Smooth doesn't create better content than creators like Jesser or Agent 00, which ended up sparking so much debate online that even Chris Smooth himself would reply to it in a tweet, saying that Low simply had to make this tweet for Twitter views and a paycheck. And this was a rather shocking response because Chris Smooth is one of those people that usually don't really say too much or doesn't get involved in any type of like debates or anything, especially when it's involving him or his likeness. So that's how you know that this is something that's rather big on Twitter right now. But while I agree that this conversation does extend further than Agent 00, Aiden Ross, and Jesser, I do believe that there's a lot of misinterpretation involving the tweet that Low had put out originally. So let's dive a bit deeper and try to make some more sense of this entire debate. But first, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the Tribe House with the biggest triber. And while you're at it, don't forget to click that very first link down below in my description to join my Discord server and become an official member of the community. Now, with all of that being said, let's get into the 2K GOAT debate. Okay, so to start, if you're unfamiliar with Chris Smooth, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video, but he's been popular on the internet for years now, and he's practically the godfather of the 2K community. He started his career on YouTube playing games like NBA Live and NBA 2K9 over 17 years ago, all the way back on February 14, 2008. Which is probably longer than some of you have even been alive. Chris Smooth was one of, if not the first person to begin posting these basketball gaming videos on YouTube. And over 12,000 videos later, he would end up inspiring an entire community of YouTubers who would end up following in his footsteps. Many content creators that we know and love on YouTube today got their start on YouTube by being motivated by Chris Smooth, or maybe they was motivated by someone else who was ultimately motivated by Chris Smooth as well.
And at that time, that's like the OG YouTube.
What year is this?
Bro, this is like 2009, 2010. I went on Google first and I was like, okay, how to do this in a certain part of this game. So I ended up clicking on the second link, and then basically like it was Chris Smooth.
Ooh.
And Chris Smooth at that time,
absolute, let's splash.
Yeah. All that, like I dove into like the straight up direct prime Chris Smooth everything.
Because Chris Smooth, I remember watching him because I did start watching his videos for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was playing Black Ops 2. But he only played Black Ops 2 for like 3 months, and then he immediately switched to 2K, and that's when I stopped watching him because I didn't really know about 2K at all.
So yeah, and I went and found his channel, and bro, I fell into a rabbit hole. I looked and I'm just like, bro, this dude is doing stupid numbers. Like he's like the only dude that was at that time doing like 2K content and being straight consistent with it.
Yep.
And then shit, I think probably like a couple months later, I'm like, yo, does this dude do this like as a living? Because he's uploading like, it's 7 days a week. He's uploading 5, 6 days a week. He's not missing a day. So I'm like, in my head, bro, this dude can't just be doing this for free. I know he has to be doing it for a wage. So fast forward on to my 10th grade year. That's that same year he ended up dropping his mansion tour.
Ooh.
7, 10 bedrooms. I'm like, oh yeah, nah. This is what I want to do as a career.
I mean, the content that he produced, the storylines he created, the way the videos was edited, some of the catchphrases and sayings that he always used to say became super influential, and this all directly led to his success. And it's without a doubt that without him, we wouldn't have anywhere near the community that we have today.
And you weren't making videos at this time?
No, I wasn't making them, dog. I was always, and Chris Smooth, shout out to Chris Smooth.
Yup, he was playing. We talked about him on a couple pods. He's, early days, bro.
Yes,
that's why
man.
I watched early days too.
Legend.
And then so I end up saying, you know what? I'm just gonna do gameplay.
Okay.
Because I'm watching Chris Smooth on my breaks, on lunch breaks, and I was right here, you know. So I end up just uploading that, doing like voiceover, And people liked it, man. The people just kept on subscribing, you know.
And I don't think there's been a creator that's been anywhere near as impactful for the community other than like maybe Soluminati. I think if you want to get the title of most impactful to anyone besides Chris Smooth, then it would definitely be him.
I'll say in my lane, I'll say Soluminati. So.
And Soluminati, why him?
A lot of like his like terminology and lingo is still used to today. Like that's tough. Everybody said it, but he was the one who like made it like. I feel like he just really slept on as far as like the internet being how it is and why it is today.
But to revisit the tweet that Lo had made, I think a lot of people had mistook his statement because he's referring to the level of content that these creators produce. Now, I do personally think it's a bit unfair to compare the career of Chris Smooth to like other creators we see today, because all Chris Smooth is really known for is like his gaming videos, specifically 2K and basketball game videos. And while he's been putting together all of these great videos for the past 17 years, it's hard to compare that to the level of content these creators are producing nowadays because they're completely expanding the space. So of course putting this tweet out and making the comparison in general will spark a lot of backlash for Lo. As I said in the intro, this even triggered a response from Chris Smooth himself. Lo would end up putting a reply tweet back out after Chris Smooth responded, and he would compare this whole situation to his lane of content, which is in real life basketball. Lo's tweet read, "People will agree with this, but then turn around and claim that Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain aren't in the top 10. Also, saying that someone doesn't create better content than Jezzer or Agent isn't a diss." And I agree, saying someone doesn't create as good as content as two of the top content creators in the game isn't a diss or a knock to anyone at all. It's really just being real. But basically in this tweet, Lo was saying that in the same way people discredit the careers of two basketball legends because they played in the weakest, oldest era of basketball, that's essentially the same reference he was making to the Chris Smooth situation. He's comparing a great creator who was basically here before everybody else to the creators of today who's producing crazy high level content in a completely different era. In the original tweet, Lo claimed that Agent was the greatest 2K YouTuber of all time, and while Agent did spend a large portion of his career being solely dedicated to creating content involving 2K, he's managed to branch out and do multiple things since. He's done podcasts, which Lo was a co-host on, so maybe there is a bit of a bias there, but he's also a part of one of the biggest content orgs of all time, such as AMP, if not the biggest content group. If you want to give it to them like over the Simon or anything, I'm not going to argue with you. But even recently, Agent has began taking streaming a lot more serious now, and he's been completely dominating that space as well, creating various forms of content that's been doing very well. And then of course there's Jezzer, who Lo also mentioned. Now Jezzer also played 2K for a large portion of his career, mostly in the beginning, and he grew pretty quickly and very early on into his career. And then he branched out heavily into more in real life basketball content, which skyrocketed his career, gaining him over 30 million subscribers, which I believe makes him the biggest basketball content creator on all of YouTube. I know he's even been included within like the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, so I think it's safe to say that Jezzer has definitely made a name for himself within the basketball and 2K community. And then there's the last name that Lo said he would entertain, which is Adin Ross. Now this is probably the most controversial one because Adin in general is just a controversial person. But the only thing that's not debatable about Adin's career is the impact that he's had on the community. Now, Adin hasn't been around nearly as long as any of the other creators we've mentioned, but he completely revolutionized the entire world of streaming, being the first person to ever really bridge the gap between streaming and multiple other industries. I mean, we've seen Ninja briefly do it, but the way Adin did it was just something completely new and different that we hadn't really seen before. And because of that alone, I think it makes him pretty valid within the conversation. I personally think that there's multiple people that we can hold in this whole conversation about being the 2K community GOAT. As I said, there's Flight, Cash, Soluminati, Troyden, even like I Show Speed. I know many people don't really include Speed because he isn't really known for 2K at all, but him raging on the 1v1 court in the stage on a pure post score is quite literally what started off his career. And then of course, once he blew up, he left the 2K community so fast that many people don't even know he ever played the game. And now he's the biggest streamer in the entire world, so I feel like it's only right that he's at least mentioned in this conversation, whether you know him for 2K or not. I think another important factor should also just be longevity within the community as well. Because while we have a lot of huge content creators that came from the 2K community, a lot of people took very different paths. There's people who started off their career playing 2K and years later they're still consistently posting 2K content and still doing great, like Troydan. And then there's people who may have blown up from 2K years ago and haven't touched the game since that point. There's even creators who were the biggest YouTubers in the 2K community at one point and have since like ruined their careers or fallen off and things like that. So I think longevity should definitely play a factor when having this conversation. But regardless of how you're viewing this entire thing, whether it's based on content, impact, or influence, the one thing that's for certain is that there's multiple creators who have changed the course of the entire 2K community over the years, each in their own ways. And even if you don't consider Chris Smoove to be the greatest, you still have to respect his longevity and originality, because at the end of the day, most of the 2K creators we love may have not even started their careers if Chris Smoove didn't start posting 2K gameplay over 6 years ago. But that's just my personal opinion, and as you guys know, the only opinion I really care about is y'all's opinion. So with that being said, be sure to comment down below and let me know, who do you think is the 2K community GOAT? Let me know down below in the comments, and while you're at it, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join me on my journey to 20K. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, be sure to give me a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback to me. And as always, I appreciate all of the love and support. And I'll catch you boys and girls in the next banger, man.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.